Hi, Year 9, and welcome to today's lesson. I'd like to start off by having a look at the image on the slide. So, we seem to have a woman selling her four children. What questions do you have about that image? Seems quite a shocking one, doesn't it? We might think, where is it? When is it? Why is she doing this? Well, this is a famous photo taken during the era of the Great Depression in America. And today we're going to be looking at the effects of the Great Depression. We're going to be focusing in, however, on the effects in Germany. Let's start off by thinking, what do you already know? These are some of the things we're going to be talking about over the lesson. So, do you know what Wall Street is? Do you know when the Great Depression was? Do you know what an economic depression is? Do you know anything about the consequences of the Great Depression? The Great Depression is often best thought of in the analogy of a disease. So I want you to keep this phrase in your mind as you go through the lesson. America sneezed and Europe caught a cold. Now, a historian said that in order to describe what happened with the Great Depression. So, what did they mean? Well, the Great Depression happened in 1929. Its cause was the Wall Street crash. Now, you may have heard of Wall Street. Wall Street is the American Stock Exchange, and we can see some images of it there. It's in New York, and it's got this really famous bull statue out the front. So, the American Stock Exchange, kind of think of as the heart of the American economy. Now, we don't really need to know why the Wall Street crash happened, just that it happened. They made some bad loans, and the American economy crashed. Now, why does this affect Europe? Well, Germany was badly affected by this because Germany had started borrowing money from America in the 1920s. American money had flooded into Germany, and it had helped Germany to recover from World War I. However, suddenly that flow of money into Germany from America dried up. As a consequence, the German economy crashed. German banks went bankrupt. Unemployment skyrocketed as German industries closed down. As a consequence, people lost their jobs and their homes. So, although it began in America, the Great Depression ended up affecting the entire world economy, including Germany. Now we're going to focus in a bit more on the effects of the Great Depression. You're going to read through a set of character cards. Each of these characters represents a typical person in 1930s Germany. You're going to read the information about the character and complete the table to see how the Great Depression affected their lives. Some of them might lose jobs, they might gain from the Great Depression, and I want you to think a little bit about how this would affect Germany politically, how it might affect who people would vote for. I'd like you now to pause the video and have a go completing the table using the various character cards. If you struggle, there's an easier version of the table available on Show My Homework. Okay, so hopefully now you've been able to identify some of the effects of the Great Depression. We've got unemployment, businesses shutting down, homelessness, poverty, a hatred for the government for not helping, and voters turning to more extreme parties like the Nazis and the communists. So here we've got a mix of economic, social, and political effects. I'd like you to have a little look at this graph here. Now, the top line at the beginning shows us unemployment, and the line that starts in 1924 shows us the Nazi share of the vote. What do you notice? Well, it's clear that when unemployment remains relatively low before the Great Depression in 1929, Nazi vote share also remains low. People aren't voting for the Nazis when there's lots of employment. But as soon as the Great Depression hits and unemployment skyrockets from 1929, so too does the Nazi vote share. That seems to suggest that the environment created by the Great Depression helped the Nazis get to power. What do you think? Do you think it was important,